and welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, September 5th, 2024. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Minister of Education Curtis King said the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the April 2021 volcanic eruption has significantly affected the level of passes at the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate (CSEC) examinations. King, who was speaking on VC3's roundtable talk last evening, noted that students suffered as a result of a lack of face-to-face interaction.
In fact, the students who wrote CSEC in this year, 2024, they were in Form 1 when we were struck with the COVID-19 pandemic. And if you recall, we had to give up the third term, because remember it was around March, I think we discovered, March or April, we discovered the first cases, and we couldn't have school for the third term. And so we had to give up that term. And then throughout the rest of that year, we had interruption. Then came the eruption of the volcano in 2021, April 2021. And again, students had to be home.
King added that students who wrote CSEC exams 2 years ago were given the chance by the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, to do a modified version of the CSEC exam, to which the students responded with an 80+% pass. He added, however, with the return of the regular examinations, the ministry recorded 66.55% passes.
However, in 2023, we went up. We had a pass rate of 72.16%.
Yeah.
And this year, and we'll talk about the results this year, 2024, we went upwards again. And the results this year, the average percentage pass is 73.6%, which shows that we are actually trending upwards. And I would say, in the case of the CPA exams, those for the grade 6 students, we had the best result ever, in excess of 85% PS. We had the best results ever this year.
Minister King said he is pleased with the overall percentage pass rate, as it is higher compared to CXC's overall pass rate. He reiterated the challenge faced with mathematics, which recorded a 31.5% pass rate.
There are some countries, and I've had calls from ministers of education, where the argument is, look, if we have been doing so bad at this exam for so long, then there must be something wrong with the instrument itself, the exam. And you know, I mean, in the educational language, jargon, if you like, we talk all the time about an exam in terms of its validity, because, I mean, you have to cover the curriculum, and the exam must test what you have been taught in the curriculum. So some people are saying, boy, they're not sure if it's a matter of the validity of the exam. Some people are questioning what is reliability of the marking. I mean, these are issues that are coming up.
Over 70% of students on mainland St. Vincent has returned to the classroom. This is according to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mikkel Burke, who was speaking on VC3 roundtable talk last evening. Burke noted that most schools were used as hurricane shelters have been cleared of occupancy, with the exception of the Georgetown Secondary School, which is expected to be reopened on Monday. However, Burke said a challenge still remains for some schools in the Grenadine Islands.
Return to face-to-face engagement, and they're doing so with an eagerness, and teachers are doing so with a willingness. So we have to commend them for that. But we're getting pockets of reports as it pertains to readiness. But what we observe on Monday, that we had a day without major incidents, and we are grateful. And that is a testament of the unsung heroes who worked assiduously, who worked with commitment to get schools ready. Teachers were involved, BRAXA, and the public.
In Parliament on Tuesday, Parliamentary Representative for East Kingstown, Dwight Fitzbramble, expressed the view that government did not handle the vaccine mandate properly as people are still without jobs. Bramble made his comment while making his contribution on the expansion of CARICOM skilled workers to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where he said that the position taken by the government on the vaccine mandate may not be encouraging for CARICOM nationals to work in SVG.
Is the reality that we are currently encountering with regards to the vaccine mandate and the hundreds of public workers who were fired because they refused to take a vaccine. We could dance on the head of a pin, we could tap dance around the issue, we could explain it away. The truth and the realities remain. And unfortunately, the Honorable Prime Minister and his administration has not done a good enough job in cleaning up that mess. But we still await the court decision, and I am quite sure that when that decision is revealed or released, then that might be a whole different kettle of fish.
Responding to these claims, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves reiterated his administration's position that persons can reapply for their jobs.
At a moment when there was a spike, and after the subsidence of that particular spike, we in the government made it plain that when that requirement was challenged, we said, you can come back for your job. And the union leaders in this country, supported by some others, said, what are you going back for your job for? Wait until the case is finished. Of course, significant numbers of persons came back for their jobs. I say, you can come back for your job. And we kept it open, and it is still open for persons to come back for their jobs. But I've been advised that some persons, I've been advised that some persons found ways to be employed here or elsewhere, didn't mind leaving their jobs and hoping that they may get a payout if they come down on the correct side of the quote-unquote the vaccine case.
The Prime Minister noted that the majority of persons affected were teachers, and it is not a large number as is being speculated.
I spoke to several persons myself whom I knew. Some of them wrote and said yes, and others said no, this is a bait. I say, how it becomes a bait? Remember that argument? Don't bait, reinstate. Remember that? People tend to forget, some people have amnesia about this thing, but all the time, the position of the government, and still is today, you want to come back and work, and the numbers have been reduced significantly. And I hear all these large numbers spoken about. Well, the largest numbers were in the teaching profession, and it's not in the hundreds, as where the situation is. But persons can still continue to talk like that of the government about something for real flesh and blood persons who still want to return to jobs. All they had to do is to indicate that they wish to come back. They don't have to give up any case. Not at all. That was made very, very clear. Yes, no.
The Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal reserved judgment in the vaccine mandate case in May 2024 after arguments were made to the appellate judges who needed time to consider the oral submissions. However, in March 2023, High Court Judge Justice Esco Henry ruled in favor of the public servants, stating that the government's requirement to take the vaccine to keep their jobs was unconstitutional. Meanwhile, on another issue, the parliamentary representative for Central Kingston Fitzbramble raised an issue of discrimination meted out to a worker in the construction industry, which he said needs to be addressed.
He was highly annoyed. He made comments on the radio about they want police to come for me and all of that. So I calmed him down a little bit, and then he came yesterday and we spoke. He said to me that he was fired with immediate effect from that job because I don't know if it's the contractor or the foreman said to him that he saw him hanging out at NDP headquarters and he don't want no NDP people on that job. I am telling you, if you don't believe me, I am willing to bring that young man because he's willing and ready. And in fact, I encouraged him. I said, I think you should go and talk to the Prime Minister about that. He was a little reluctant, but I think I'll be able to convince him. And this is not to say that the Prime Minister has a solution to every problem. But I remember in the last sitting of this House when I made reference to the fact that the people on the ground who are doing the assessment for house repairs from Beryl, they bypass people's homes because they think they support the NDP. And the Prime Minister said that he doesn't believe that to be true. And if there's anyone who I encounter with that experience, to send them to him.
Bramble called on all parliamentarians to do better representing workers' rights.
I think this experience with this young man also requires higher intervention, if I may call it that term. But these are some of the, and you might argue and say, well, that is just one example. It's not common. Believe you me, it's more than one example, and it's becoming more and more common. And we as responsible representatives on both sides of this House, we have to do something about it. We have to do something about it. It doesn't make sense we come in here, talk so glowingly about our Caribbean civilization and our regional integration and all of that, and then our citizens in our own jurisdiction have to endure these kinds of indignities.
Addressing this matter, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves said his government is opposed to discrimination.
Some persons who registered, they get a job, and within 3-4 hours, they say they can't take this, they can't work in sun for longer than 3 hours, and they're done with that. Some, and of course, many of them stick to it. I'm not going to comment on any individual case about somebody who reported something to a particular member, and I don't know the story on the other side. I haven't cross-examined the person or anything to comment on that, but I reiterate that this government has a splendid record in opposing discrimination against anyone on any ground which is set out in our Constitution.
With the majority of schools reopened in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, health psychologist within the Ministry of Health, Dr. Joselle Miller, has emphasized the crucial role of parents preparing their children for the classroom. Speaking on NBC's Face-to-Face program, Dr. Miller highlighted that children often mirror their parents' emotions, making it essential for parents to foster a positive attitude during this period.
So you want to talk positively about school and build the enthusiasm within your child so that when they go in, they're excited, they are open now to all of the new possibilities, and they're open towards learning. It's important as well that you listen to whatever concerns they may have, especially if they are returning and they are, and even the new ones. But let's say they are returning and the previous year was not good. Maybe they had challenges with classmates or teachers, whatever. Listen to the concerns and try to see how best you can have those concerns addressed. In some instances, you may have to have conversations with the teacher, with the principal, but what you don't want to do is to make it appear to the child that, okay, you know what, this is the enemy. You still want to find some ally within the school system, within that teacher, within, they have to learn to cooperate and get along within their classrooms.
Dr. Miller also advised parents to be attentive to their children's concerns, ensuring open lines of communication. Furthermore, Dr. Miller underscored the importance of encouraging children to build healthy relationships with both their peers and teachers. She called on educators to take the time to get to know their students individually and to create a supportive and nurturing learning environment.
But it's so important as well that we encourage children to, foster good relationships and friendships with their peers, and even teachers take the time to get to know each student individually where possible, understand their unique needs and their unique interests. Understand that some children might be visual learners, others might be very good in retaining stuff just by hearing it. Pay attention to see those kids that might be struggling because they're in the back and they're easily distracted, to bring them to the front. There are different things that you just have to have a keen eye out for, and understand that every day go in with a new approach, go in with an open mind, and see where best you can keep shifting things so that you can get the excellence and foster the highest level of productivity from your students and also from yourself.
The Caribbean Electric Utility Services Corporation, CARELEC, has deployed 100 line workers to countries affected by Hurricane Beryl. Among those countries is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as 8 linesmen were deployed to help local VINLEC workers. The CARELEC Secretariat, based in St. Lucia, collaborated with member utilities as well as private contractors. Executive Director of CARELEC, Cletus Burton, said that it is necessary for CARELEC to assist hurricane-affected Caribbean countries.
CARELEC has a flagship program called CDAP. It's the CARELEC Disaster Assistance Program. It's based on mutual assistance for participating member utilities. The way it works is quite simple. The participating utilities, 27 of our 33 member utilities, contribute to a fund on an annual basis. And that fund is used for meeting expenses associated with disaster restoration activities. And the CARELEC Secretariat would coordinate the movement of the line workers from utilities and from private contractors, as we're witnessing this evening, to assist affected member utilities who have requested assistance under the CDAP program.
Burton said that the linesmen that were deployed are trained and experienced.
We have done training in the past for private contractor line workers through what we call the CDAP expansion program. So during the years of COVID, when things were a bit quiet, we did take the opportunity to upskill line workers, not just utility line workers, but also private contractor line workers. So some of the very persons being deployed this evening have been trained by CARELEC and have also taken part in the annual Linesman Symposium and Rodeo. So we're very pleased with this deployment, and Jamaica Public Service was very excited about receiving that assistance and thereby arranged for the charter flight to bring the workers over to Jamaica for a period of 3 to 4 weeks.
The linesmen hail from Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, the British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, and Dominica.